Uh, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm super disappointed in this because I was already disappointed. I think David Cornsweet looks like shit uh, in the Superman suit, and I think that the Superman suit, even without anybody in it, looks like shit. I was not looking forward to this movie. I don't like. I thought the trailers made it look bad. There's too many characters. This is not going to be a Superman movie. This is going to be a movie about everything but him, most likely, or maybe it is going to be about him. But it doesn't seem that's going to be the case. You know, whatever. I technically withhold judgment until I see it, sure. But like, I'm not looking forward to this at all, and I'm especially not looking forward to it now that I know what James Gunn said he did with the story. Can we just have things that aren't overly? Listen, yeah, I'm a politics guy. That's like what the majority of my content is done. Well, actually, most of my content is based on. I read news articles and I opine on them. Right? I am a very poor, in terms of quality, not monetarily, although I am poor. Um, I'm a shitty political commentator, so politics is my thing. But because of that, I don't want politics in everything that I try to enjoy. You know, I don't want a super political Superman story. I just want a fucking Superman story. Say what you want about the Zack Snyder DC Universe stuff. It wasn't overly political. There was it kind of a Batman v Superman with the senator like blaming him for stuff and the kind of like but that was more jet like that seemed like more like consistent with the world. Like, okay, Superman, a lot of stuff happened in Metropolis and he's out here doing all this stuff. These are questions that you kind of got to ask, and based on the trailers they're doing the same shit all over again, like Zack Snyder did it, and now James Gunn is doing it too, except he's going to do it worse. Like, it's going to be way more ham-fisted. It's not going to be as good. I know a lot of people didn't like the Snyder stuff. I do. I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I admit it. But this movie's going to be bad. For every bad thing everybody ever said about the Snyderverse is like, now we're going to be all like, oh, like, hopefully some people are going to be all like, listen, I didn't like the Snyder movies, but they were better than this shit show. Anyway, shout out to Variety. James Gunn says Superman is about an immigrant that came from other places and how we've lost the value of basic human kindness. Yes, it's about politics. Okay, Superman is technically an immigrant because he was born on Krypton, but he's not an immigrant in the sense that he was a baby. Being an American from Kansas is the only life he's ever really known. Like, technically an immigrant, but he doesn't have the immigrant experience. He looks like a white guy, and he grew up in the American Midwest. Like, he's not going to have the immigrant experience. He doesn't find out until later. I don't know when they're going to, like, what the timeline is in James Gunn's universe about how old Superman's going to be, like, how old Clark is when he finds out that he's not human, or that he's, whatever. But, like, it's not the same thing. Like, if he had been like Supergirl, where Kara, or whatever name they decided to give her, Kara Zor-El or Kara NZ or whatever, she's usually depicted as having come to Earth being a teenager. Like she remembers life on Krypton. She could still speak Kryptonese or whatever the fuck Krypton, like the language that the Kryptonians speak, Kryptonian. Like she So like that's the if you really want to explore the immigrant experience with a Superman adjacent character, you do it with her. Like they could have done, something like that. They could have done, they could have got Henry Cavill to come back and said, "Look, you're still going to play Superman, but all the Snyder stuff is out, and we're going to do you. You're already established. You're the Superman of this world, and we're going to do Kara showing up. So you've got to kind of show her the ropes of the world, and she gets to have the immigrant experience. If you wanted to explore that with Superman, it could have been Superman like teaching Kara. That there's your like mentor-mentee relationship, and then the two of them have to work together to fight like Mongol or something like that. It could have been that would have been cool. Like Mongol fucking comes to to Earth because he wants Superman for War World, and whatever. Like he could have done something, or he brings War World into the solar system, and you've got like a fucking fight going on, and like Superman and Kara have to work together to fight Mongol. You could have done something cool like that, and that's how she kind of earns her stripes as like as like an American, basically, is that she helps this American hero Superman fight off this invasion, and even though she's like a teenager, she's already like grown up. She like there's so many things you do it, but instead we're gonna say that like Superman has to have the immigrant experience, except he doesn't, he can't, he doesn't remember. The only thing he knows is being an American. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid, and I hate it, and I haven't even seen it yet. James Gunn is opening up about what Superman is really about. In his Sunday profile with the Times of London, the DC studio head went deep on the themes and ideas that drive his highly anticipated Superman. He explained that the superhero epic composes a story of America at a basic level, is about a man searching for a better life away from his original home. I mean, Superman is a story of America, Gunn explained. An immigrant that came from other places and populated this country, but for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost. Okay, so two things I automatically take issue with here just from this. The United States of America is not a country of immigrants. It's not. Okay? There was no country here when we founded this country. War conflicts with the Native Americans didn't start until almost a century after the settlers first founded the colonies. Okay? Other than minor local skirmishes, by and large, it was mostly peaceful. Hashtag mostly peaceful. And we founded a country on land that no one was living on. So no, this country was not founded by immigrants. Immigrants cannot found a country. They can't. You can only be an immigrant if you go to a place that's already established. There was not a country here. There was just a bunch of disparate tribes who had been killing each other for millennia. If they had maps, the lines in those maps would have constantly been changing as they were constantly killing each other. The other thing is this idea that basic human kindness is a value is something we've lost. In what way? Human beings are actually more kind now at this point in human history than they ever were before. Way kinder. It doesn't seem like that much because, we're all terminally online and we're all really shitty to each other. But, like, by and large, this is, like, other than, like, yes, there's, like, a lot of basic things, that people are upset about, like OF and sexualization and whatever, like all this stupid shit. There's a lot of wars going on, but like when you really like zoom out and you think about it, this really is the best time in history to be a human in terms of our access to basic resources and the fact that we're not literally constantly trying to kill each other. The murder rate is gone back down again. It was on a 40-year decline, and then it kind of went up a little bit during all the the George Floyd mostly peaceful riots, and then it's gone back down. But murder's on the way to go into a 30-year low. Sexual assault is down. Like all these crimes are down. So people are kinder and seemingly like I don't want to say more moral, because what is moral? People are gonna whatever. But depending upon who you are and what your perspective is, it's all like, well, no. Like, I would say, by my perspective, the average human is probably more moral than they were, a long time ago. But, depending upon if you're like a fundamentalist Christian, you probably wouldn't agree with that. But you get my point, is that, like, at least the sort of non-aggression principle basis for morality, the sense that we all agree not to aggress against each other anytime we just feel like it. Like, it seems like we're not kinder to each other, but in reality, we are. So, what does James Gunn mean by that? How have we lost the basic kindness? Is it because James Gunn, we don't let immigrants flood into the country willy nilly and then give them all free health care and 4-bedroom houses? Is it because we don't give universal basic income to every lazy fuck that doesn't want to get a job? Huh? Like, what does that mean? What does kindness mean? It's stupid. Gunn acknowledged that the movie's themes may be interpreted differently across political groups. I doubt it. I doubt it. I believe that whatever political messaging is in this movie is going to be ham-fisted. It's going to beat you over the head with it, especially considering the current nationwide unrest around immigration. However, Gunn stands by the ideals embedded in Superman and added that he doesn't care if anyone takes offense. Quote, yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness, and obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive because it is about kindness, but screw them. Literally, no one is going to think that. If the movie's actually just about Superman being a kind person, that kind of the depiction of Superman as a superhero who literally will rescue a cat out of a tree. Like, that's if it was about that kind of, yeah, but it's not. It's going to be about, like you said, immigrants. It's going to be about how we shouldn't have a national border and how we should just let anybody who wants to come here for any reason come here and get on our welfare system and just do whatever the hell they want and, not integrate into our society. It's stupid. So I guess screw me, right? James Gunn, screw me. I am male, which I know you like, but I'm probably too young for you, to be honest. Or old. I'm probably too old for you. We all know how much you like little boys. And I'm not, look, if he wants to sue me, he can fucking sue me for saying that, but he's the one who has a long and storied history on Twitter of talking about how much he likes to fool around with little boys. That's James Gunn. James Gunn did that to himself. I'm just repeating what he said. He continued, yes, it's about politics, but on another level, it's about morality. Do you never kill no matter what, which is what Superman believes. Superman doesn't actually believe that, by the way. You can tell that James Gunn doesn't actually know shit for dick about Superman history. Superman is not Batman. Superman does not have a hard and fast no-kill rule. Depending on the situation, Superman will 100% kill people, not humans, to be fair. Superman generally does have a no-kill rule when it comes to humans, but when it comes to non-humans, Superman's got no problem whacking people. He's tried to kill Darkseid a bunch of times. He's tried to kill Mongol. It's just usually they end up surviving. He killed Doomsday. He's killed multiple sentient aliens over the centuries, or over the years that he's been a comic book character. The original appearance in comic books of General Zod, Superman killed him with a kryptonite beam. Just sprayed him with kryptonite radiation while Zod is literally begging for his life because Superman knew that if he allowed Zod to live, he would cause more destruction. That he had no choice because there wasn't a prison on Earth that could hold him. And he couldn't just stick him in the Phantom Zone. So he had to do something about it, and he killed him. Which the people who complain about Superman killing Zod in Man of Steel also didn't know that, so they complained about it not knowing that's... Granted, Superman in the original comic didn't break Zod's neck, but still, the point is that Zod was a serious threat. Superman did not have a way to contain him, so he had to kill him. But still, he just doesn't know the history of the character. He doesn't. Do you have some balance, as Lois believes? It's really about the relationship and the way different opinions on basic moral beliefs can tear two people apart. Yeah, so he's going to, try to drive a wedge between Lois and Superman by making Superman this naive dipshit who, basically thinks only, 2 feet in front of his face, who can't like see the future, or can't accurately predict, the kind of consequences of his actions, who's naive and thinks like a stupid monkey man, and he needs this hyper intelligent boss woman to grab him by the hand and guide him through life. Superman, which releases July 11th, stars David Cornsweet as the Man of Steel, Rachel, I don't even know, Brosnahan, Rachel Brosnahan, I guess, I don't know, as Lois Lane, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I don't care, this is just the cast of the movie. Well, I normally only read one article, but this one was pretty short, and I had a lot of ranting to do, because Superman is my favorite superhero. He's my favorite comic book character ever. I love Superman. And like I said, James Gunn has kind of already ruined it, it seems. The Daily Beast accidentally posted their review of the movie, and it wasn't good. Now, to be fair, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't give a shit what, critics have to say about a film. Normally, I wouldn't. But whenever a rag like the Daily Beast hates your movie, even though you clearly tried to make it political, they still think it's bad. even though it seems like you try to make it check the boxes that they would like and they still hate it. That's not a good sign. That means that the movie's bad enough that even the people who would simp for it can't even pretend that it's good. So not only does it seem to have stupid political messaging, but it also seems to just be a bad film, period. The first official review has been published, and it's not good news for Warner Brothers, Discovery, or the Daily Beast. With the Superman review embargo officially set to lift on July 8th, Warner Brothers has been keeping tight control over early critical reactions to James Gunn's highly anticipated DC reboot. However, that strategy hit a major snag late last night when the Daily Beast accidentally published its review ahead of schedule, and it wasn't pretty. Though the review was quickly taken down, it stayed up long enough to send shockwaves through social media. Screenshots and summaries spread like wildfire, and the early verdict is already fueling doubts about the direction of DC's revamped cinematic universe. So what did the first published review have to say about Superman? The headline alone pulls no punches. Quote, terrible new Superman is final nail in superhero cinema's coffin. Rough. According to the Daily Beast, Superman plays out like a Saturday morning cartoon that's overstuffed and awash with over-the-top CGI insanity. Overstuffed is bad. Over-the-top CGI insanity is not necessarily bad if it's done well. The CGI looks good, and we can understand what's happening. You know, we know why it's happening and how we got to that place. The over-the-topness of it isn't necessarily a bad thing. Referring to it as a Saturday morning cartoon is interesting because Saturday morning cartoons would generally be simple, and it seems like this movie is going to be anything but. The result, according to the Daily Beast, is action sequences so bombastic and relentless that they lose impact. It's a sensory overload that, in the critics' view, drowns out the emotional core. Even David Cornsweet, the new face of Clark Kent, doesn't escape criticism. While the review concedes that he visually fits the role, no, he doesn't. Not in my opinion. Henry Cavill is the most Superman-looking human being that currently is alive. I mean, there might be somebody out there who could do it as well as he can. David Cornsweet, no. Nah. He does not look like Superman, not to me. Like, Christopher Reeve ruined an entire generation, like, no, not even an entire, multiple generations of people into thinking that Superman was supposed to be, like, narrow, and, you know, even though Christopher Reeve himself specifically worked out really hard to get as big as he could, he still wasn't this, like, super jacked, like, no, I picture Superman the way Henry Cavill looks. And that's normally how he's depicted in the comic books. He's not depicted like Christopher Reeve as being, like I said, kind of narrow. He's V-tapered. He's got super broad shoulders and a huge chest, and he's just like super jacked, crazy looking guy. And it's consistent with not only him being like this absolute Kryptonian Giga Chad, but also with the fact that Superman is a farm boy. He spent his entire life doing physical labor. While the review concedes that he visually fits the role, it claims he feels relatively slight compared to Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill, undermined further by a narrative that at least Christopher Reeve was tall. I'll give him that. Christopher Reeve was a tall guy. He's like 6'3" or some shit. Like he's a tall dude. Further undermined further by a narrative that's, quote, all over the place. The whirlwind structure of the film reportedly makes it difficult for any character to truly land, asking audiences to, quote, hold on for dear life as it whiplashes about from one out-of-this-world locale and incident to another. The review also blasts the film's script for feigning interest and actual emotion and claims the humor falls flat. The relationship between Clark and Lois Lane is said to lack spark, while Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is overshadowed by a plot so chaotic it renders the entire affair superficially silly. So, one of the big things about the trailer was that there was too many characters. Not only is there Superman and Lois and Luthor and Superman's parents and presumably, and Jimmy Olsen, presumably Perry White, but then you've also got Green Lantern Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl and Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific and Crypto the Superdog. And like all these characters, that there's not going to be enough time to really settle in with the new Superman. Most alarming of all for DC fans is the comparison to Joss Whedon's Justice League, a film widely seen as one of DCEU's lowest points. I appreciate that they actually specified the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. Seems like that Park Place probably understands that whether you liked it or not, whether it was overly long or not, Zack Snyder's almost 4-hour version of Justice League was a very different film than what than what Joss Whedon gave us. Like, he butchered that movie in the editing room, and in reshoots. The reviewer criticized Superman for being overloaded with heroes and villains. It has neither the time nor the inclination to develop, making everything feel two-dimensional despite Gunn's signature sharp and vibrant visual style. To say the response was brutal would be an understatement. While this is just one review, and a prematurely posted one at that, it casts a long shadow over the looming release. With opening weekend projections already softening, poor word of mouth could trigger a disastrous second week drop, even if the film starts strong at the box office, which is what happened to Batman v Superman. Had a excellent opening weekend, and then by the second weekend, it had dropped off super hard because bad reviews. And the theatrical cut of BVS wasn't great. I still liked it, but like the director's cut, which is I think like 30 minutes longer, something like that, 30, 40 minutes longer, is a much better movie. Those 40 minutes that got cut out really do make all the difference. Makes the entire thing much more cohesive. But that's because, Zack Snyder's a long form storyteller. His movies are always going to be long. That's just how he does it. There's still a chance the majority of reviews next week will be more forgiving or even enthusiastic, but make no mistake. This first Superman review is not the kind of pre-release buzz Warner Brothers wanted. It reignites concerns over Gunn's vision for DC might be too niche, too chaotic, or too meta for general audiences to embrace. Whether this leaked critique is a fluke or a canary in the coal mine remains to be seen. So yeah, I normally wouldn't have covered something like this, but the fact that, James Gunn decided to politicize it, I think it means that it fell out of my wheelhouse. But like, by all means, do you agree? Are you excited for this movie or not? Or are you like me? You thought this movie was going to be shit no matter what, like that it was always going to be bad, that James Gunn was going to ruin this, like I did. I normally like James Gunn, but like I had a bad feeling about this from the start. None of the trailers or anything made me feel any better. Whatever, however you feel about it, let me know. And smash the like button, sub, follow the links, sub to all the channels, follow me on X, check out the streams, the video game streams at Clown World Gaming, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons, and then check out Clown World Chronicles on Saturday mornings. And in the meantime, throw me a bone.